Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Dave's Network. I've been kind of playing with this channel, wondering what to do with it, whether to do YouTube stuff, whether to do political stuff, to do this, to do that, opinion pieces, or to do travel, and then as of late, the channel's been all over the place. I mean, I've got God knows what on here, and so I've decided, okay, going to kind of buckle down, kind of draw myself in here just a little bit, and I'm just going to make it Dave's Network. Stuff that I do, stuff that I'm interested in, not necessarily daily life in terms of, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom today, and I'm going to have a bath, and I'm going to go for a walk, and this and that and the other thing. No, I'm not going to do stuff like that. But, I mean, I'm going to do just average stuff the average Joe would do in life, and the average interest in the average things, so to speak. As of late, I've had this interest in drones, so I've been doing some droning. I've been toying with different ideas how to make a few bucks, from doing some contracting work to kind of getting out and about, maybe buying a car, maybe trading a car in, buying and selling type of thing. Maybe buying, I had this crazy idea about a couple of months ago that I was going to go out and I was going to buy a camper. And this camper was about $8,000. It was, I think, a 95 or 96. I mean, it was a bus, really. It was an RV. And I was going to buy it. I toyed with the idea. I didn't really do it. And fix it up and flip it. Well, came to the conclusion that there's no place to fix it up, really. And it's an awful, I've got some money, but not a whole lot. So it's quite an adventure, quite an outlay to lay out $8,000, probably another $2,000 to fix it up, and then go ahead and try and flip it for $10,000 in this market. I'd have to get 12 out of it, 12 or 14 to make it worth my while. So I just didn't think that was worth the while doing it. But the long and the short of the story is that it might have been worthwhile, filming it. And this was my idea, and this was the process, this was the thought process I went through, and et cetera, et cetera. So that might have been well worthwhile filming, something entertaining, and something to let people know that if they have the same idea, and go for it or don't go for it based on what I did or what I've been doing. Now, here's my other idea. Because the housing market is so volatile right now, I mean, we are in a place, at least in Canada, and I think it's very similar in the United States, where the cost of borrowing is just out of this world. I mean, the Bank of Canada interest rate is just continuing to rise. People are not going to be able to afford mortgages, and those of you who have mortgages today might not be able to afford to renew your mortgage in, 5 or 6 years, whenever they come due. So that's a real problem. So here's my next thought. And this kind of led me into the whole buying the camper, because I was initially going to buy the camper, yes, to flip it, but I was also going to buy it to live in. And that presents problems too, but that leads me into the housing market that I just talked about. We need some kind of affordable housing, some kind of different housing, at least to get us through this crunch. Whether it be tiny homes, something like that. And so I'm looking into something like that. How could I get a piece of land? I mean, with the interest rates, it's kind of hard. But acquire some kind of a piece of land, whether it be to lease or, rent it, borrow it, to do a service for somebody. Say, okay, I'll maintain your barn and I'll maintain your property if you allow me this half an acre or whatever it might be to put my tiny house or my trailer on, or something like that. The kind of the barter system, So that's another thing I'm kind of playing with. So that might be a good idea for Dave's Network, to kind of go down that path, and affordable housing of some sort. Because, man, oh man, it is getting bad out there. I don't know if you followed the prices, but we were thinking about moving, because we're living in an apartment now. And this is a 2-bedroom apartment. We got it 2 years ago, and it's not bad. I'll do a tour of it sometime, but it's not bad at all. but still, it's $1,820 a month, which is, below market value in this day and age. It's nice. It's new. They're still adding the finishing touches, and that's another story for another video on another day. But we were going to move, so we looked at a house. It was way back in the country. 100-year-old house. I mean, they had done some renovations, but the renovations were okay, but they weren't, really, really, really professionally done and high quality of any sort. But they were asking, I think about $1,800 for that place too. It was a 1-bedroom, and it was a loft. And I wish I'd have shown you some pictures. So you walked into the house. You just had the living room and off was a kitchen, an older kitchen, which they had re-drywalled and did some work to it. But there was, there was no AC. There was nothing fancy. There was no basement, just kind of a crawl space where they had a propane furnace. Kitchen was, just something like it was out of the 80s or something like that. No dishwasher. A place for a stackable washer and dryer. A backyard, which I really want, and it had a nice fire pit in it. We won't get going about fires right now because of the fires in Canada, but it did have a fire pit and a reasonable sized backyard for dogs, all fenced in, kind of nice. But 20 minutes from the city, something like that. So anyway, to make a long story short, we go in and try to look at this place. I contacted the guy and he said, okay, great. We will meet you, Wednesday at, this time. And I'll let you know a few minutes before, a few hours actually, before you decide to come. So that was good. So I waited and he no reply or anything a few hours before I was, going to show up. So I sent him a message and I said, Sean, are we still on for this 1 o'clock or whatever time it was? And he said, yeah, I've arranged a showing. I thought, a showing? I said, you mean there are going to be other people there too? And he said, yeah. So I thought, okay, this is going to be good. And I thought, okay, we're going to get there and they're going to be, 8 other people there or something like that, all mongering around and asking questions. And I said, what are the chances of getting it? I mean, I don't know. So at any rate, I went, got there, and there was only one other couple, which was really, really good. But it was that awkward situation. And all the times I have rented, I have never had a situation where I was there with another renter or potential renter. So it was kind of weird because you were asking questions and they were asking questions. You were standing in one place and they were standing in another place. But still, there was this element of competition in the air where you felt like, all right, yeah, hi, how are you doing? Okay, because you're competing with me trying to rent this place. So after they left, I talked to the guy for a while, and we kind of hit it off, like we had the same, the same goals and pretty much the same background in housing, and I've done a lot of contracting and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, left and went back, filled out the application, came back, and I thought, I don't know. This might be really dicey because I might get it and I might not. I don't know. Let's wait and see. So waited a few days and, in the housing market, no news is not good news. Gave him a call back. He said, well, we're working with another rental applicant right now, but, if things do change, we'll let you know. But here's some other, properties that I do have. And this guy was a property manager. He wasn't the owner. So I thought, okay, well, that kind of ends that. But then I got to wondering, I filled out the application, and there's nothing really, I'm not that bad of a renter. I mean, I have no credit problems, and I have no previous history of bad things in rental. I've never been evicted or had the sheriff come in and had to change the locks and put me out or anything like unfortunate things like that some people have had. So I got to thinking, I said, I'm just wondering, and I said this to a few people, if somebody hadn't come along and said, they're asking $1,800 for it, but maybe they came and said, all right, if you can make this deal swing, we'll give you $19 or $19.50, something like that. So you kind of got this bidding war in renting. I have no idea if that's the case, but, you know, it could have been something like that. But at any rate, that would have been a good story to post on Dave's network, and just the whole process, film it, you know, show the house, and just do a whole episode on that. So that would be kind of interesting. You know, I tend to do a lot of, I don't know, I would consider them off-the-wall stuff, where I come up with this idea and I kind of take the leads and go on it, and it doesn't really work, or the path kind of wiggles and twists and turns, and no, that's not going to work. So stuff like that might be interesting and worthwhile recording for, folks like you to watch. So that's certainly a path that I could take on Dave's network. So I guess the long and the short of it is, instead of just coming up with ideas and saying, okay, I'm going to try this on YouTube today, and then I'm going to change my focus over here, maybe change the focus to just what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about. And like I say, I got this drone thing going on. Interestingly enough, excuse me, I'm just fiddling with something here. Interestingly enough, that I don't know, I had it going. It was hard to, first time droning, I tried to get it up there in the air, and it was going up and down and all over the place. And finally I got it way high, and just about to the point where the whole drone was out of sight, and brought it back down and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool. And then realized that I was recording from my phone from the drone to my phone, and the footage would freeze up. Of course, you got that distance, and you're running on Bluetooth, and of course it's not going to record. So I thought, okay, well, get an SD card, put the SD card in, you're not going to have that problem. So just stuff like that, and lo and behold, to make a long story short, once again, I did run it into a tree and kind of busted up a blade, and now I'm working on getting new blades for my drone. But I thought that would be some kind of cool footage to show some things what I'm doing, whether it be hiking or looking at houses or stuff like that. Get a pretty cool drone shot coming down, coming in, and stuff like that, and then just show it along with the video. So that's another thing I got on the go. So the long and the short, I think, if you guys are interested, let me know. Just some of these harebrained schemes that I've got going on that I might just record. And getting back to the housing crisis, I know it seems like I'm all over the place here, and some of the things going on here in Canada, but we're in pretty bad shape here as a country, and I'm sure in the U.S. too. So we're all looking for different ways to make ends meet, whether it be buying food, whether it be housing, like I just talked about, and whether it be hobbies or even entertainment. And that's basically what I'm talking about with the drone, is some form of entertainment. It's not what it used to be. I mean, you just didn't go out and go to a restaurant. And now it's like $100 to go to a restaurant. It's, $30-40 to buy food for a good meal. So maybe if I can provide some kind of entertainment here that you can do relatively cheaply, whether it be hiking, camping on a shoestring, or whether it be, finding a house, ways to find a house, or ways to find alternative living on a shoestring, or just even the ideas of doing that type of thing, it might be worthwhile pursuing on Dave's network. So just kind of trying to rodeo this whole stuff in and bring it into the corral is that I would like to make Dave's network, kind of a place where my thoughts and, what I carry through on my thoughts and things I do and ideas I have that are probably related to some ideas that a lot of you folks have out there that, that you think of, but I actually go out and attempt them and try to do them. So it might be Dave's Wild Corral here or something like that. But it might be interesting and well worthwhile doing. So that's kind of the approach or the direction I'm hoping to take with the channel. So maybe I've rambled quite a bit here, another rambling video, but that's kind of the way I feel and what I'd like to do with Dave's network. Make it kind of freestyle, just things I talked about. So let me know in the description section below whether you think I'm half nuts or this idea is half crazy, about talking about life and cheaper ways and ways you can cope and get through life on kind of a limited budget and yet have fun. So let me know in the description section below what you think. Okay, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time, guys.